Hi there, welcome back. I told you it's going to be a doozy of a one, and we still have a lot to do, so hang with me. I'll try to go a little faster on this one, but I want to make sure you don't miss the details since it's only the second one we've really worked out. We're still completing the square. This is on the middle of that first page that I created, the extended notes there. Uh, Make sure you have room to do this, so if you need to turn it over, do it on another piece of paper. It's fine, but you want to get the details so you have something to refer to. We're still completing the square here. Solving by completing the square. This one cannot be factored, I don't think. And I'm not really going to check to see. I'm just going to move on and complete the square as we've been talking about. All right, so I'll go a little bit faster here. The first thing that we want to do is figure out what is that value that creates the completed square. Okay, so if I take b over 2, b in this case is 8. So if I do 8 over 2 squared, that's going to be 4, and 4 squared is 16. So 16 is the value I'm going to add to both sides. So when I add 16 to both sides, we get x squared plus 8x plus 16 is equal to, now you have to add that into the 180, giving you 196. Okay, so we're going to factor the left side. So that factors to, I believe it's x plus 4 squared. Square root of that is 4. 4 times 1 times 2 is 8. So that's it right there. X plus 4 times x plus 4 would multiply back to be that. So that's 196. And now that I have it factored into a trinomial square, this is the beautiful part again right here. We're going to solve the perfect square. Solve the perfect square. Okay, and here's how we'll go ahead and do it. We would go ahead and square root that part right there. We'd square root that. Don't forget to put plus or minus. Since that is a positive number, we can have two solutions. So we basically have, let's see, x plus 4 equals, and that worked out real nice, didn't it? That worked out to be 14. You'll make sure you know how to find a square root on your calculator. All right, and that's plus or minus 14. So here's what you need to do now. Divide it up. You got to find those two solutions. X plus 4 is 14. X plus 4 is negative 14. And solve it. You're going to subtract 4. So one solution is x equals 10. Subtract 4, which is the same as adding negative 4. The other solution is x equals negative 18. Right there. All right, so we got 2 down. So you see it takes a little bit of work to get those done. All right, so let's go on to the next page and see what we've got. All right, these last two, I'm just going to work through this without all of the notes on the right-hand side, just so you can see a couple here and try to keep up. Hit pause when necessary, but I'm just going to talk to see how you're doing. So this is not solved yet, so I'm going to add 165 to both sides. So I've got x squared minus 4x is equal to positive 165. I just added 165 to both sides. I'm going to calculate b over 2 quantity squared. I'll do that over here. It would be 4 over 2 quantity squared, which would be 2 squared, which would be 4. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. All right, that if I factor the left-hand side, that would be x plus 2 squared is equal to 169. And I'm going to square root both sides. And I would have x plus 2 is equal to 13. I'll tell you what, you guys are getting lucky. You need to have a calculator that can calculate square roots, even the ones that don't come out this nicely. But I am being really nice to you in these notes here, as that comes out to be plus or minus 13. So we have x plus 2 can equal 13. And we have x plus 2 could equal negative 13. So we're going to subtract 2. Let's do some algebra here. Subtracting 2 would give me x equals 11. That's one solution. Subtracting 2 here would give me x equals negative 15. And voila, you've got it. All right, let's do one more here. Now this one is a bit trickier, but we're gonna work through it, and you should be able to. So if you're not sure if you have enough space, find another piece of paper or the back. To do that, let's complete the square here. All right, let's add 294 to both sides because that is not the value we are looking for. Add to both sides, you get 294 over there. All right, let's figure out that b. Uh-oh, look what's gonna happen here. 7 divided by 2. Well, let's just leave it. Let's just leave it. That 7 squared is 49. 2 squared is 4. Let's just use that value for now. So I'm going to add 49/4 to both sides because we have to work through fractions here. Okay, so as I factor this, well, we should be able to factor it. If you haven't noticed, go back in the previous problem. Notice that when I factored that this value was the square root. This 2 is the square root of that. In the previous problem, notice that this value was the square root of that c right there. So what I can do is I can square root 49 and square root 4 and basically know that this is 7/2 because that's a perfect square. You created a perfect square when you did this. So you'll notice that this number right here is the same as this number right here. That's okay to do. Here comes the hard part. We have to figure out what 294 plus 49/4 is. Well, if you don't have a calculator that can do that, I'll do it with you really quick here. You've got to get a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply this times 4/4 because I have to add that to 49/4. And when I do this, 294 times 4 is 1176 fourths plus 49/4. That comes out to be 1225/4. And I will put that here. That is what this value here is, 1225/4. All right, just keep that fraction right there, please. So let's square root this side and let's square root this side and watch what happens. X plus 7/2 is equal to, you see what happened? That 1225, that's a perfect square. It's 35 over square root of 4 is 2. So we now have this. We have x plus 7/2 is equal to plus or minus 35/2. So we got to split it up and solve it. X plus 7/2 equals 35/2. And x plus 7/2 equals negative 35/2. All right. Subtract 7/2. Subtract 7/2. So you end up with x equals 35/2 minus 7/2. And that ends up working out to be 14. This one over here, if we're going to subtract 35/2, subtract 7/2, that ends up working out to be negative 21. I've got a feeling you'll have a question on this one, so if you do, mark it down, bring it to class, and we can look at why it worked out to be that way when I see you next. There. Okay, I'm going to stop the video here and make one more and show you why this is important. When we complete the square, it's really easy to find the vertex of that value, which is a really important point for us to find. So come back for the last video and I'll get this next one wrapped up in one.